Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today I have a book review for you, which I'm sure you can see from the title. First, before we even jump into this though, I want to say if you hear a whining noise, it's my air conditioner. Normally I can turn it off for long enough to film, but it is so hot right now. It's 90 degrees and super humid, and I just don't have the willpower to sit and sweat through it. So if you hear a little bit of that, I apologize for that ambient noise of the air conditioner. Otherwise, let's get right into it. Today I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review for this amazing book called Onyx Ivory by Mindee Arnett. Just look at it. Today I have some notes written down because since I'm trying to keep this as a spoiler-free review, I needed to write my thoughts down a little more concise than when I have done previous videos, because then when I'm like ranting and rambling about a book, I don't really care if I'm spoiling it or not, but I really think you guys should check this book out. So I'm gonna try to play it cool and just whet your appetite a little bit for this amazing book. My book haul, you'll know that I said I hardly knew anything about this book. I just thought it looked beautiful, which it totally does. It's also cool because what is on the cover is actually particular to a specific scene in the book, and when they described the scene, it was so cool. Onyx Ivory, just some like basic setup, is about this world where these things called night drakes terrorize the land at nighttime. So they're kind of like a dragon, but they can't fly, but they're like a creature that's like a dragon without wings, that's really fast, really strong, big sharp teeth, and just likes to devour and eat anything in its path. Because of this, the towns at dark are protected by these magical wardings, and you need to be inside of a town to be safe. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, or if you get exiled from your village, you're in some pretty deep crap and you're going to die basically. So that's a basic setup. I'll get into a little bit more plot explanation in a minute, but one of the main characters' name is Kate, and she runs in what's called the relay, which is basically like a courier system on horses. So during the daytime, they ride as fast as they can from city to city, delivering messages, supplies, important things like that, and they need to be able to do their trips during the day and not get caught at night, because if they're out, they'll get eaten. And one day, however, Kate is out on a relay and she comes across an attack by what she thinks is night drakes, but it is fresh and it's happened in the middle of the day. And this is not supposed to be able to happen. The day drakes aren't, or Daydrake is what they end up calling them. Sorry, that's not a spoiler. That's what they end up calling the attacks that happen during the day, is daydrakes, and they're not supposed to be able to be out at night. Like, they would burn up in the sun or die. And the lone survivor from this attack happens to be the second son of the king, who Kate has some history with, and she's able to rescue him, and this is kind of the starting point of our story. So right away, like, that's kind of all that was said in the inside flap, is, you know, what's going on, who it is, and that she rescues him. So it was already super cool because it starts off with this super like badass woman who saves the life of the prince, and it's this really cool twist on the fairy tale of like this, you know, lowly horse rider saves the prince instead of her getting saved, and I loved it. And it wasn't done in like a browbeating way of like, this is feminism, that she's saving someone. It was just, she had the strength and the ability to well, not even strength, but just the ability to like outmaneuver what was going on and save the prince, and it didn't rely on brute strength, is kind of the point. So that's the basic setup for it. I'm gonna go into just a couple characters real quick without spoiling it. So because I wanted to break this up into characters, world building, and then the plot and like what I liked about each. So the characters, Kate is the main character. Her basic backstory is that she is 19 years old, and when she was 16 years old, her father tried to murder the king, and he was executed for his assassination attempt, and then she basically had to like go into hiding because people knew who she was and they were making life really difficult for her, and like she had something to do with it, which she didn't, but she had to give up her life at the palace, and she became a relay rider, which I already shared. And the other thing about Kate is she has a special ability where she's able to communicate with, I say communicate with, lightly, it's referred to as like influencing, but she can influence and communicate with animals, which is one of the reasons why she's so successful at being a relay person, because she's really good with horses. And this kind of magic that she has is forbidden. Anyone who has this kind of magic, which is called wilder magic, yes, I called them wildlings so much when I was reading this, but it's wilder magic. Any magic that has to do with the elements or with influencing things is considered taboo, and they will arrest those people and oftentimes put them to death if they have those powers. So she's been hiding this about herself her whole life. And so nobody knows about it. There are other people who have magic in this world, and they're called magists. Yeah, it's really confusing. Like, it's not confusing when you're reading it, but like when you try to explain it, that they're magists and wilders, like it's just weird. But it's not weird when you're reading it. It is set up pretty good, like what the difference is. And the difference is that the wilders can influence different things, like all the elements. It has, you know, like any of the water, fire, air, and then like the influencing talents, like being able to manipulate animals or people, that's called spirit magic, and all that magic is just not cool. But there are magists who they do magic having to do with like creating potions and making things safe. Like they're the ones who ward the different cities, and apparently there's just a difference between these magics, and wilders are bad and magists are okay. I'm hoping, you know, like that's one of the main contentions of the plot, is like why is one bad and one's okay. But at the beginning of this novel, that's how it's set up. And then the other main character is Corwin, who is the second son and of the king, who is the one who was almost assassinated. And him and Kate were basically dating 3 years ago when her father tried to kill his father. And of course, when she left, you know, they had to break up, but he hasn't stopped thinking about her. And he himself has just been on kind of a soul searching journey where he's been away from the kingdom for a while. And when he comes back and him and Kate bump into each other, he's not quite ready for her to just leave his life again. He wants to kind of talk through some of the things that happened and try to figure out what they could do. So then there are some really great secondary characters. I won't go into them too much, but Kate has these two great friends named Bonner and Signe, I think you say. And Bonner, he can control metals, and he really is kind of like a Magneto type character, but a very nice one. But that's what he can do, is he's a blacksmith and he can control metals. And again, he has to keep it a secret, but he's best friends with Kate. And then Signe is, she doesn't have any special powers, but she's from a different country than our main characters. And so she has some interesting beliefs and thoughts that go along with her being from another place. And she's really cool. And then this man named Dal is Corwin's best friend. And they're all just like, these 5 characters especially, they're all this really fun group of people, and I really enjoy them. The world building I thought was very good. This book was a slow burn, and there is for sure going to be a sequel, I believe she said. I don't know if it'll be a trilogy or more, but I appreciated a build up because there was a lot of rules and a lot of political things going on. And to me, I didn't feel that the story was slow, but she did spend time building the world, and to me that's important. Like, some people want to just push through that, and so some of the critiques I saw is they thought this was really slow, but I didn't. I mean, I read this book in one sitting, which it was a 5-hour sitting, but I read this book in one sitting, and I didn't feel that way. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So the world building for me was really good, and I can't go into too much of it without being spoilers, because how they build the world and tell you more things is a big part of the story. And then the final thing, I think this characters, magic system, world building, and then the plot. Yeah, so there are some cool twists and turns in it. One of the other things I will say, which to me this shouldn't be a spoiler, but it's not mentioned in the flap, but it's spoken about immediately in the book. There's also this whole thing in this kingdom where if you're the firstborn son, that doesn't mean that you are the heir to the throne. There is this competition / 3 trials that the princes have to go through to decide who will become the heir to the throne. And this is a really important part of the story because at this current time, the king who was almost assassinated 3 years ago, he has been crazy, mentally messed up since he was almost killed by Kate's father. And so the older brother, whose name is Edwin, Corwin's older brother, he has been basically running the country in the time that Corwin has been away. But when Corwin comes back, it's time for this competition to take place. And it doesn't mean that Edwin will be the heir to the throne. So there's this competition aspect in there as well that I feel I want to share to you in a non-spoiler review because I didn't know about it going in, and I feel that I would have been even more eager to read it if I'd known that there was also this competition that happens. And how this trial comes about is really cool too. It has a lot to do with why the book is called Onyx and Ivory, which was so cool when you find out. I have it in my notes, when you find out why it's named that, it was really exciting. So that's kind of going to be it for the review part of it. I gave this a 4.5 stars, which I rounded up to 5 on Goodreads, because I had no idea where this story was going to. I didn't know, is it about the competition between the brothers? Is it about Kate and Corwin working through their issues? Is it about finding out why her father killed the king? There was all these things that I thought the book was going to be, and it was really about all of them. And so I really like that. So I highly recommend Onyx and Ivory. It's fantasy, it's adventure, it's exciting. It is a slow burn romance. Just telling you, I saw some people weren't too happy with that, but for me, I felt like it was necessary, especially with what their history was, that these characters needed to work through some stuff. Also, this is YA, but the characters are 19 and 20 or 21, which isn't a big deal at all. I'm just letting you know. It acted like a YA, but that's what the character ages are. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Let me know if you've read it down below. It just came out a week and a half ago, but it's definitely worth it. It's a good thick read. First one in a duology or trilogy, she hasn't said yet, but I think Mindee Arnett's going to be one to watch. I really liked it. So thanks for checking out this review. If you're still here, like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you down below. I'm really active in my comments, so come and talk to me. But thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.